Tommy, what did you learn? Can you compare and contrast recruiting at Iowa and recruiting where you were before? Because I imagine there's a little bit of a difference.
There's definitely a difference. You pick up good and bad from everywhere. The best part about coming back here is, we aren't trying to reestablish a culture. We're not trying to recreate something. We know exactly what we are, and Kelvin's mentioned it, and you'll hear it from our coaches all the time. We're looking for guys that fit and that fit the culture of Iowa football. Being at other places, you pick up different things. SEC versus Big Ten. I don't think there's as much to do as people want to make it out to be. Probably the biggest difference I experienced when I was there is in the South, football is kind of year long. You lose some of those multi-sport athletes that you get in the Midwest. You can argue for or against either or. Is it better to have somebody that plays year-round and concentrates on one sport, or plays multi-sports throughout the year? I know you see statistics throughout the year, especially around NFL draft time. I think this year 76% of the draftees were multi-sport athletes in high school. So the culture for younger kids is a little bit different. In terms of what we're doing, we're all trying to do the same thing, but for the most part, and just coming from the team meeting, Coach France says it best, we really don't care what other schools are doing. We're going to do what we do, what we've done for the last 17 years. We're going to continue to try and find and identify kids that fit here. Our coaches do an unbelievable job when they're on the road at digging, talking to the right people, asking the right questions, and going back a little bit to what Coach Bell said about guys getting here. Guys, they get around a lot of people when they're on their visit here. We want to get a lot of different input from the different people these kids talk to, and gives us such a clear idea of who the kid is. Is he going to fit? Can he handle it here? Is he an Iowa football player?
Do you guys pay any attention to what other offers a kid may have that you're ever in your discussion?
Not really, because we have our own way of evaluating, and like you mentioned over here, there's hard offers and there's soft offers. So just because a kid puts it out there, there's no telling what priority that school's putting on that kid. You can't let that enter your evaluation.
There's always some talk about like fallback kids, or could you guys tier things? Could you explain that? Where you might have 5 wide receivers as guys you take right now, or how do you put your board together?
One, when you mentioned fallback, if you want to say fallback guys, there's fallback guys that haven't come up yet. Coach Ferentz is big on it. The staff is big on it. Let's see what guys are going to emerge in their senior year.
Sure.
You can go back through some of the best Iowa football players that have ever come through are guys that didn't emerge until their senior year, didn't have any offers till their senior year. So, the dangerous thing with recruiting being so sped up is that you can fill up quick and you might not get to some of those guys. There's examples on our team of that right now, but I don't know if I'd say fallback. You always want to have a plan per se, but the good, and I think one of the best qualities about being here and being with Coach Ferentz is he's never in a rush. He's very patient. We'll continue to do what we're going to do, and there's going to be guys that blossom and bloom late, and let's make sure we have a chance to see them and see if we can actively recruit them. So I don't know if that answers your question completely.
Yeah, I was looking at tiers, because there might be 4 guys that you would take right now at wide receiver, or but there's not it's not 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just there's a grouping more than anything else. Is that fair to say?
Yes, yeah. I mean that's fair to say, but the evaluation is ongoing. And when you say there's a guy that you take right now, that guy's been vetted. He's been watched. He's probably been to campus. We've done our research as far as character-wise. We talked to the high school coach, found out about him academically. I mean, when you do those things, then you reach the criteria of being a take right now. It's not just watch the kid on film. Oh yeah, we'll take him. So I mean, that's when you talk about the tiers. When those things are done, that's when you can start to separate yourself from the rest of the pack. Once we've got your transcripts and they're in good working order. You've been here to Iowa City a time or two. Those things start to separate you more so than just what we see on film.
Well, there's a perception that the earlier you guys offer somebody, the more you like that recruit. I'm sure that's probably the case some, but is it some that maybe you just have more information on that one? With other recruits, you're still in the process of vetting, and maybe you like someone more down the road, but it's just a matter of how much you get the information?
We try our best to, we don't want to just put an offer out there blind. You don't want to put an offer out there to a kid that you've never seen. You don't want to put an offer out there to a kid that you don't have a transcript on. You don't want to put an offer out there to a kid that when you ask in the staff room, if you don't have any information about that kid, then, you know, that's not something you want to extend an offer to. So, you know, that you like them best, I wouldn't say that. Probably you know more about that kid and you feel more comfortable with that kid to extend that offer.
Scott, you're talking about talent ID. Is that the start of the board? You guys find players, sort through the tapes, go to the camps, do whatever you do. Is that the start of the board? You guys see the guys and then pitch them to coaches and they kind of check them out and they start to build the board? Is that how that works? How does that work?
There's a lot of different ways that we get names brought to us. First off, it starts probably with the coaches out on the road as they are gathering names. Tyler mentioned the emails, the phone calls to the office, all of the text messages you get as you build relationships with coaches, as you build a roster here and have players come from all over the country. You kind of get to know what an Iowa football player is, and you'll get references as, oh, this is another Bob Sanders or this is another Dallas Clark. So, you know, you'll have to take a look at all those guys as well. But that's kind of a starting point, and then you know, we work together and share amongst the coaches, the area coaches, the position coaches, and kind of work their way through the staff.
And then names start going on a board eventually.
Yeah.
Because I think I've seen Reese's board way back when these guys have all gone through. But there is a pecking order. There is eventually, and you guys have input on that. And I imagine that it sounds like, I think at the center of everything you guys always do is the assistant coaches are at the center of recruiting. As far as, I mean, you guys are also sort of like greasing the wheels.
I mean, information gatherers. And
Yeah.
we're support staff. We try and do everything possible to help our coaches out and to help our entire staff make, you know, educated decisions on the guys we need to offer and the guys we want to take. You know, a big portion I mentioned coming from another school is, you know, what's great here is our staff's been attacked for so long, so they've had relationships in the areas they recruit. That goes a long way. When these guys are on the road, you make relationships with these coaches, you know, so it may be you go to one school, they may not have anybody, but that coach may know 7 or 8 prospects in the area that he puts you onto, that then we start building that database. So, you know, you think back of Coach Morgan, who's been here for such a long time, Coach Parker, guys that have been in those areas for so long, you know, it's a really valuable tool to have when it comes to knowing those areas, being able to dig up kids late, just being able to really build that board and kind of go from there. But anything we can do to dig on a kid or find information on a kid or really help build his profile to make sure, okay, this is a guy we like, this is a guy we think we're ready to move on. You know, that's kind of what we're there to do. And that varies by day. It's very, very, very fluid.
Kilvin, you're from Mississippi. Does that create more opportunities for you guys down there, or do you try to create more opportunities with your connections down there?
For the right kid, yeah, for the right kid. You know, being from Mississippi and you know, I still got some relationships down there. I've got some, you know, some people who give me calls and you know, tips on guys that I should look at. But you know, like I said, it's about the fit. You know, it's not an area that we spend a lot of time in recruiting. But if there's the right kid down there that fits the culture of Iowa football, then you better believe we'll go after him.
How much does maybe a verbal commitment or even, you know, somebody who's looking at you guys talking to other recruits, how does that help you guys? And do you foster any of those relationships, or is that pretty much done on their own?
You know, it's with social media and you know, the publicity that recruiting gets. These kids are, you know, they're a lot more connected to each other, more so now than they were when I was coming out of high school. I think it's all good as long as the message is controlled and the kids are thinking the same way and excited about Iowa football and the way that we do things. The message is controlled. You know, it is controlled. We want to make sure that the guys understand what's it going to take to play here, what's it going to take to be successful here. And if a guy is verbally committed here, he probably understands that. You know, and it's their class. You know, it's something that they can hang their hat on, something that they can take ownership in. You know, you want to make sure that that they're trying to attract the right kids to their class.